Welcome, dearly beloved anointed ones. The strongest chains are not forged of metal, they are woven from expectation. They anticipated you would chase them, convinced your heart would sprint after their manufactured chaos, your mind would buckle under their calculated manipulation, and your peace would be a bargaining chip. But here's a truth many fail to grasp. Studies reveal that individuals who diligently safeguard their emotional well-being are 70% more likely to cultivate lasting happiness and resilience compared to those who consistently squander it on needless drama. Imagine their bewilderment when you remained unmoved, when you refrained from begging, when you refused to grovel for their fleeting attention or validation. Picture their confusion as you opted for contemplative silence over shrill arguments, serene calm over swirling chaos, and liberating freedom over obsessive fixation. It's akin to watching a feline dismiss a laser pointer, perplexing, enraging, and utterly beyond their sphere of control. This isn't merely about distancing yourself, it's about rewriting the very rules of engagement. It's about demonstrating without uttering a single syllable that your existence, your vitality, and your serenity are precious beyond measure, invulnerable to their influence, and unequivocally yours. They anticipated a pursuit. Instead, they encountered a profound revelation. Inner peace is the ultimate dominion, and you are fortified to the core. First, you've embraced the understanding that your energy is a sacred currency. Every moment you dedicate, every emotion you invest, every ounce of attention you extend holds inherent value, a treasure not to be recklessly dispensed. Most individuals traverse life with the misconception that their energy is inexhaustible, that they can freely pour themselves into others, immerse themselves in taxing situations, and engage in draining conflicts without consequence. Yet the stark reality remains: once expended, it cannot be replenished. To chase someone who depletes you is akin to investing a fortune in a debt that can never be settled. When you cease gifting your energy to those undeserving of its potency, you begin to reclaim the fragments of yourself that were silently imploring for preservation. You awaken to the realization that your tranquility, your unwavering focus, your inner peace, and even your unbridled joy are rare and invaluable resources. They are yours to invest judiciously, not to gamble away on the shifting sands of another's turbulent existence. Recognizing this fundamental truth transforms your approach to life in its entirety. You no longer feel compelled to rescue those who resist self-improvement, to engage in battles that are not rightfully yours, or to justify your inherent worth to those incapable of perceiving it. Your attention morphs into a discerning instrument, not a frivolous plaything. You begin to evaluate interactions not through the lens of drama or obligation, but through their alignment with your personal growth, your enduring happiness, and your inner clarity. Each time you choose to walk away rather than engage in a futile chase, you transmit a silent but resounding message. Your energy is not a commodity for sale. It cannot be manipulated, nor can it be squandered without consequence. You transition from being reactive to the whims of the world to being strategically proactive in preserving your well-being. This newfound awareness also precipitates a shift in how others perceive you. Those who thrive on discord, exert control, or seek constant validation suddenly recognize that your precious energy cannot be pilfered. Your unwavering refusal to chase after them becomes a jarring disruption to the systems they have come to rely upon to validate their very existence. It's a recalibration of the power dynamics. They expected effortless access, unwavering approval, and a willingness to compromise your own boundaries, but instead they are confronted with a steadfast boundary so formidable that it reshapes their perception of both you and themselves. You become untouchable, not through aloofness, but through valuing yourself enough to fiercely guard that which is most precious, your inner life. Understanding that your energy is a sacred endowment fundamentally changes everything. It rewires the tapestry of your existence, influencing how you love, how you navigate relationships, and how you engage with the wider world. It is the ultimate manifestation of self-respect, the clearest declaration that you are irrevocably done with squandering your precious life on individuals or circumstances that fail to contribute to your overall peace and well-being. You cease chasing, you stop bending, and you begin to flourish, governed solely by your own terms. That realization is not just powerful, it is profoundly transformative. Second, detachment is a potent expression of strength, not a manifestation of weakness. Most individuals mistakenly believe that walking away, relinquishing control, or taking a step back is an admission of defeat or a sign of vulnerability. However, the truth lies in the diametric opposite. Detachment represents a conscious and deliberate decision to disentangle yourself from that which no longer serves your mind, nourishes your heart, or enriches your soul. It requires profound courage to acknowledge that certain battles are not meant for you to wage, that not every conflict warrants your precious energy, and that your inner peace is infinitely more valuable than proving a moot point or coercing someone to adopt your perspective. Embracing detachment signifies that you are no longer at the mercy of another's volatile mood, capricious actions, or unreasonable expectations. You steadfastly refuse to allow their turbulent existence to dictate the cadence of your own life. And that is a mastery that most individuals never fully cultivate. Practicing detachment does not equate to apathy or indifference. It does not transform you into a cold, distant, or uncaring individual. Rather, it signifies that you value yourself enough to establish firm boundaries and honor them with unwavering consistency. It entails understanding that your inherent worth is not determined by the amount of turmoil you endure or the degree to which you seek another's validation. It means that no insult, manipulation, or disappointment can shatter the bedrock of your self-assurance, because your core is resilient, self-reliant, and fundamentally unshakable. You've come to understand that engaging in unnecessary discord is a cleverly disguised trap, and detachment is the strategic maneuver that enables you to maintain equilibrium without resorting to direct confrontation. When you authentically practice detachment, people invariably take notice. They observe the serenity in your responses, the deliberate pause between their provocations and your measured reactions. They realize that regardless of their attempts to draw you into their vortex, you remain steadfastly unshaken. Detachment becomes a mirror reflecting their own internal instability and illustrating that their familiar tactics, Guilt, unbridled anger, unrelenting pressure are rendered utterly ineffective. It quietly yet powerfully shifts the prevailing dynamics. You cease to participate in their self-serving games, those meticulously designed to test the limits of your patience or manipulate your emotions. You are no longer expendable in their chaotic drama because you have consciously and resolutely chosen yourself over the allure of engaging in their pointless battles. Furthermore, detachment empowers you to perceive situations with clarity, unburdened by the obscuring fog of heightened emotions. Decisions are made with greater expediency, priorities are brought into sharper focus, and your actions carry far more significant impact. You engage with the world from a position of conscious choice, not from a place of knee-jerk compulsion, and that renders every interaction more purposeful and every outcome more aligned with your personal growth trajectory. In essence, detachment is a profound declaration that you are invulnerable in the ways that truly matter emotionally and mentally. Walking away, stepping back from the fray, or adamantly refusing to chase is not indicative of weakness. It is a testament to your mastery over your own life, and it stands as one of the most potent instruments you can possibly wield. Third, you adamantly refuse to normalize emotional sabotage. Over time, many individuals become habituated to being treated with disrespect, to accepting empty excuses, to navigating insidious manipulation, and to tolerating the subtle ways in which others chip away at their self-confidence. It often begins subtly. Someone casually dismisses your heartfelt feelings, belittles your carefully considered choices, or persistently tests the outer limits of your patience. Insidiously, almost imperceptibly, you begin to accept this unacceptable behavior as the established norm. Refusing to normalize emotional sabotage signifies that you recognize the underlying pattern for precisely what it is: a blatant assault on your inner peace and a devaluation of your intrinsic worth. It is not acceptable, it is not harmless, and it is certainly not something to passively ignore. You cease permitting others to conveniently rewrite the very definition of respect and kindness to align with their own self-serving agendas. This deliberate choice alone distinguishes those who flourish from those who endlessly endure. By steadfastly refusing to normalize emotional sabotage, you reclaim your personal power, standing tall in your truth. You recognize that no argument, no skillfully deployed guilt trip, and no manifestation of toxic behavior is ever worth sacrificing your precious mental currency. You begin to demand the bare minimum of human decency, not out of arrogance or entitlement, but out of a profound sense of self-preservation. You come to the unwavering understanding that you are not obligated to tolerate that which actively erodes your well-being. This refusal is a bold declaration that your life, your time, and your deepest feelings are not a recreational playground for another's festering insecurities. You establish standards that were rightfully yours all along, standards that were often compromised in the past. And you now enforce those standards with unwavering consistency and crystal clarity. Once you draw this definitive line, even with a quiet subtlety, everything around you irrevocably transforms. Those who thrive on manipulation quickly realize that you are no longer an easily exploited target. Your steadfast refusal to normalize toxicity abruptly interrupts their predictable script, leaving them disoriented and off balance. They can no longer rely on flimsy excuses, passive-aggressive reactions, or your inherent willingness to absorb their internal instability. When you respond differently, calmly, firmly, and without succumbing to the allure of escalating chaos, they are inexorably forced to confront the uncomfortable truth of their own destructive behavior. Your inherent peace becomes a mirror reflecting their deeply ingrained faults, their manipulative tactics, and their inherent weaknesses in a way that they cannot readily control. This revelation alone can be profoundly disarming and even transformative for both you and them. Refusing to normalize emotional sabotage also profoundly alters your internal narrative. You cease constantly second-guessing yourself, stop attempting to rationalize their harmful actions, and abandon any lingering doubts about the validity of your own instincts. You begin to inherently trust that your deeply felt emotions, your firmly established boundaries, and your instinctive reactions are inherently valid, and that your deliberate refusal to participate in drama is a powerful reflection of inner strength, not an act of avoidance or escapism. In practice, this is nothing short of revolutionary. It irrevocably rewires the very way you engage with the world and with yourself on a profound level. You begin to operate from a fortified position of unshakable integrity, unwavering clarity, and profound self-respect, making you virtually untouchable. Choosing inner peace over the seductive allure of toxicity becomes not merely a conscious decision. It evolves into a sustainable lifestyle, a protective shield, and a powerful declaration that your life cannot and will not be defined by the turbulent chaos generated by another's fractured existence. Fourth, your self-respect has become utterly non-negotiable. For far too long, many individuals have operated under the presumptuous assumption that your inherent value is contingent upon their validation, that your carefully considered choices should conform to their expectations, and that your boundaries are merely gentle suggestions rather than inviolable limits. They arrogantly expected you to chase after them, implore for their approval, or compromise your deeply held principles merely to gratify their fleeting comfort, and they felt supremely confident that you ultimately would. However, consciously choosing inner peace fundamentally alters the established dynamic. It transmits a silent, unmistakable message that your inherent worth is not open for debate, subject to manipulative bartering, or vulnerable to subtle manipulation. It establishes a boundary so unequivocally clear and so firmly entrenched that it requires absolutely no further explanation. Others instinctively sense this unwavering shift immediately, regardless of whether they consciously acknowledge it or not. Making self-respect utterly non-negotiable necessitates a profound and transformative internal shift. You cease measuring your actions by how they might be perceived or approved by others. You stop compromising yourself to avoid potential conflict or to desperately secure another's fleeting attention. Every decision you make, every carefully considered response you offer, and every boundary you firmly establish is guided by an unwavering commitment to honoring yourself first and foremost. This does not render you rigid, inflexible, or emotionally cold. Instead, it empowers you to be decisively resolute, firmly anchored, and authentically true to yourself. People might attempt to push your buttons, test the firmness of your boundaries, or manipulate you into compliance through guilt, but they will swiftly discover that you no longer yield to their insidious pressure. Your inner peace is infinitely more valuable than proving a futile point or satisfying another's inflated ego, and that unwavering clarity radiates through every interaction you have. When your self-respect becomes utterly non-negotiable, it irrevocably transforms the dynamics that surround you. Individuals who once sought to manipulate you find themselves encountering resistance that they are simply unable to override. Your steadfast refusal to chase after them, to engage in excessive explanations, or to bend under manipulative pressure is a profoundly powerful statement in itself. They are simply unable to define you, control you, or in any way diminish your inherent value. It's a seemingly subtle shift that nonetheless sends seismic waves through the established order. They instinctively sense the unyielding firmness of your newly established boundaries, and it compels them to recognize the uncomfortable truth about their own deeply ingrained behavior. Choosing inner peace over the allure of a futile chase is not a passive action. It is an active and deliberate enforcement of your inherent self-worth. You are simply no longer willing to allow the festering insecurities of others to dictate the course of your own actions. By steadfastly holding your self-respect as utterly non-negotiable, you cultivate a life where your precious energy, your undivided attention, and your loving heart are fiercely protected and deeply cherished. This ultimately fosters greater clarity, enhanced stability, and authentic freedom, and it fundamentally redefines how you allow the world to interact with you. Those who fully expected to shape you into their own distorted image now bear witness to the unshakable reality that your inherent worth is absolute and your inner peace is sovereign. Fifth, you have discovered profound freedom in the absence of external approval. For countless years, many individuals navigate their lives shackled to the weight of expectations, the sting of judgments, and the limiting confines of the opinions of others, constantly seeking external validation in a desperate attempt to feel worthy, secure, and fundamentally adequate. Every carefully considered decision, every purposeful action, and every spoken word is meticulously filtered through the lens of what someone else might think or, more importantly, approve of. However, consciously stepping away from that deep-seated need for external validation is nothing short of revolutionary. No frantic pursuit of validation, no desperate need for explanation, just the unshakable and unwavering confidence that your life belongs entirely to you to live as you see fit. You begin to wholeheartedly realize that the only permission you truly require is your own, and that liberation feels infinitely sharper, deeper, and more enduring than any fleeting praise or superficial acknowledgement ever could. When you cease the desperate pursuit of external approval, your precious energy irrevocably transforms. You are no longer operating on the shifting sands of another's emotional whims or capricious moods. You stop bartering away your inner peace in exchange for a mere moment of superficial recognition or the illusion of temporary comfort. Instead, you become fully accountable to yourself and to the vibrant life you are intentionally building brick by brick. Every decisive action, every firmly established boundary, and every carefully considered choice emanates from a place of inherent integrity and genuine self-alignment, rather than being fueled by the debilitating fear of judgment from others. This profound shift irrevocably rewires how you experience your intimate relationships, how you approach your work, and even how you navigate your daily interactions with others. You are no longer simply reacting to another's ever-shifting standards, but instead are proactively moving forward in alignment with your own deeply held truth. This newfound freedom also powerfully recalibrates your interactions with others on a fundamental level. Individuals who once relied on your compliance or constant reassurance find that you are no longer available to be manipulated in this way. They might try to push your emotional buttons, desperately provoke you, or subtly attempt to lure you back into the old patterns of dependency. But your conscious detachment from their approval renders their manipulative efforts utterly irrelevant. You are no longer a willing participant in their self-serving drama of desperately earning affection, desperately seeking validation, or desperately pleading for acceptance. Your life is now primarily guided by your own well-defined values, your carefully considered priorities, and your deeply held goals. And that profound independence radiates a magnetic kind of inner power. Living free from the constant need for external approval is not an act of arrogance or callous indifference. It is a profound expression of inner sovereignty. It empowers you to focus completely on your personal growth, your intrinsic peace, and your unique purpose. The unshakable confidence that emanates from wholeheartedly owning your life without the need for constant explanation or justification is a fortress that no one can possibly breach. It is the ultimate manifestation of genuine self-respect and the clearest possible statement that your precious energy, your limited time, and your undivided attention will no longer be dictated by the fluctuating whims of anyone else. In consciously choosing genuine freedom over the alluring trap of fleeting validation, you discover a transformative clarity and inherent strength that irrevocably changes everything about how you live, how you think, and how you move through the world. Sixth, you skillfully expose their underlying weaknesses without engaging in a direct battle. Most individuals mistakenly assume that true power is best demonstrated through direct confrontation, heated arguments, or relentless and unwavering pursuit. However, genuine strength is most often revealed through the art of calculated restraint. When you consciously refuse to chase after those who seek to manipulate you, when you deliberately step back from the fray instead of mindlessly reacting, you skillfully force them to confront the fragility that they desperately attempt to conceal behind their carefully constructed tactics. Their deep-seated insecurity, their insatiable need for external control, and their repeated attempts to provoke a reaction from you suddenly become utterly useless, primarily because you simply refuse to participate in their toxic games any longer. Without needing to engage in a direct fight, without needing to succumb to blinding anger, and without needing to offer any explanations, their insidious strategies simply crumble because they fundamentally rely on your active engagement to have any effect whatsoever. Inner peace becomes your most powerful weapon, and it is infinitely more effective than any instance of verbal sparring or dramatic showdown ever could be. You feel no need to prove anything to anyone or to desperately seek their approval. Your inherent calm presence alone subtly undermines their calculated attempts to dominate, manipulate, or belittle you. They begin to realize, often with palpable shock and disbelief, that the usual levers they instinctively pull, the insidious guilt, the unrelenting pressure, the manufactured drama, no longer have any measurable effect on you. You have simply and effectively removed the necessary fuel that powers their manipulative tactics, and in doing so, you clearly reveal the festering weaknesses that they have worked so tirelessly to conceal from others. The delicious irony is that they often feel utterly defeated, even though you have never actually attacked them, never frantically chased after them, and never engaged with them in the way that they fully expected you to. This highly effective approach also serves to protect you in profound ways. By adamantly refusing to participate in their self-serving battles, you maintain complete control of your own precious energy and your own evolving narrative. You are not easily distracted by their manufactured chaos, and you resolutely deny them the fleeting satisfaction of successfully provoking a reaction from you. Their failure to noticeably affect you actually speaks much louder than any overt confrontation ever could. You have not only skillfully preserved your valuable inner peace, but you have also shifted the balance of power in a way that is entirely in your favor. They are simply left exposed, forced to grapple with the often unpleasant consequences of their own deep-seated insecurity and manipulative tactics, all without your interference or involvement. Skillfully exposing another's underlying weaknesses without needing to engage in a direct battle is a true act of inner mastery. It is a profound demonstration of self-discipline, enhanced self-awareness, and unwavering inner confidence. You feel no need to attack them or frantically chase after them to assert your inherent strength. You simply maintain your calm composure and allow their self-destructive actions to reveal the underlying truth about them. In this highly effective way, your steadfast non-engagement is not merely a passive choice. It is a calculated, silent, and devastatingly effective victory. The less you do, the more powerful you intrinsically become, and the more undeniably obvious their underlying vulnerability becomes to everyone around you. You powerfully prove that true strength is not measured by how vehemently you fight, but instead by how firmly you steadfastly stand apart from the turbulent chaos that others desperately try to drag you into. Seventh, you have intuitively learned that some fires are best left to burn themselves out. Not every conflict, not every carefully crafted provocation, and not every manifestation of toxic behavior necessarily requires your precious energy or your active intervention. Blindly engaging with toxicity often only serves to further fuel it, giving additional momentum to the destructive forces of drama, manipulation, and escalating chaos. The more actively you react, vehemently argue, or frantically chase after those who attempt to manipulate you, the more intensely the fire will burn, and the more difficult it becomes to maintain your inner clarity and overall peace of mind. However, when you deliberately step back from the fray and steadfastly refuse to participate, you effectively remove the fuel that keeps the chaos alive and thriving. Without the constant infusion of your attention, the destructive fire is relegated to consuming only its original source, leaving you completely untouched, completely unaffected, and infinitely clearer-headed than anyone caught in the immediate heat of it. Consciously choosing to walk away from such situations does not necessarily mean that you are in any way avoiding your responsibility or manifesting some form of inherent weakness. Instead, it signifies that you possess the invaluable wisdom to accurately recognize which self-serving battles are actually productive and which are inherently destructive. Some people in some situations are innately self-consuming. They fundamentally rely on the constant reactions of others to fully exist and thrive. By consciously choosing inner peace instead, you are empowered to calmly watch that destructive process organically unfold, all without being drawn into it yourself. You begin to recognize the underlying patterns of toxicity with even greater clarity. The subtle manipulations, the often unreasonable expectations, and the cleverly disguised emotional traps. This enhanced level of clarity then empowers you to respond with a higher level of intention in moments that truly matter, rather than simply reacting out of raw instinct or intense frustration. This highly effective approach also irrevocably transforms how others perceive you. Those who innately thrive on chaos and exerting control over others might initially attempt to pull you back into the familiar dysfunction, but your very absence from the drama becomes a powerful testament to your inherent strength. They clearly see that their usual manipulative tactics no longer work on you, and that their all-consuming drama cannot possibly survive without willing participants. Your calm detachment subtly exposes their underlying instability while simultaneously protecting your valuable mind and your limited energy. You remain firmly grounded, laser-focused, and completely unshaken even as the turbulent storm relentlessly rages all around you. The underlying lesson here is a profoundly powerful one. Some destructive fires are fundamentally meant to burn themselves out organically, and your active involvement is simply not at all necessary for a meaningful resolution to occur. Consciously choosing inner peace over direct engagement does not somehow render you passive or disengaged. Instead, it empowers you to become highly strategic and intentional. It enables you to preserve your precious energy, maintain your unwavering clarity, and prioritize your overall well-being above the constant demands of toxic relationships. The disruptive chaos might continue to roar, but you remain completely untouched, consistently clear-headed, and ultimately much stronger for it. In steadfastly refusing to fuel the destructive fire, you gain something infinitely more valuable than simply winning a meaningless argument or temporarily proving a shallow point. You gain authentic freedom, lasting inner peace, and the quiet certainty that you are at long last untouchable by that which no longer serves your uniquely beautiful life. 8th, your calm composure becomes their mirror of shame. When you purposefully remain composed in the face of intense provocation, insidious manipulation, or escalating drama, you create an unflattering reflection that they simply cannot ignore. Most people who innately thrive on creating chaos fully expect you to offer a powerful reaction. They strategically rely on others' emotional responses to validate their perceived control and fleeting power. When you adamantly refuse to provide that validation, when you consistently respond with unwavering steadiness instead of escalating agitation, they are ultimately confronted with a deeply uncomfortable truth that they have consciously spent years avoiding: their fundamental instability. their inherent insecurity, and their underlying toxicity. Your consistent calm does not simply neutralize their shallow attempts to dominate you. It clearly exposes the deep cracks in their fractured character that they desperately attempt to conceal from themselves and the world. This unflattering mirror effect is often subtle, yet nonetheless devastating. They might attempt to rationalize your inherent composure as simple indifference, shallow arrogance, or dumb luck, but deep down they fundamentally recognize that their usual manipulative tactics, insidious pressure, unrelenting guilt, calculated manipulation, are simply no longer effective. Every carefully crafted attempt to provoke you subtly backfires, revealing much more about their own deep-seated weaknesses than about yours. Your proven ability to consistently stay grounded in your own truth highlights their own fundamental inability to effectively manage their raw emotions. Their blatant lack of authentic self-control and their unhealthy dependence on creating drama to feel somehow powerful. Without needing to utter a word, without needing to engage in a direct confrontation, you effectively force them to see the distorted reflection that they never wanted to acknowledge in the first place. The often unpleasant part of themselves that is innately chaotic, deeply insecure, and ultimately fully responsible for their own constant frustration and overall unhappiness. Your intentional calm also creates a much-needed space of enhanced clarity for yourself. By consistently refusing to engage in reactive behavior, you proactively maintain complete control over your valuable mind, your precious energy, and your overall perspective. You are virtually untouchable by their desperate attempts to destabilize you, and in that clear space you are empowered to operate from a fortified position of intrinsic strength rather than from a place of blind reaction. Meanwhile, they are left floundering in their own self-imposed chaos, forced to directly confront the messy truth of their own self-destructive behavior, while you purposefully move forward completely unshaken by the drama. The subtle power of this dynamic lies in its quiet efficiency. You feel no need to engage in heated arguments, frantically chase after them, or desperately attempt to prove a self-serving point. Your inherent composure alone effectively does the work for you. It shifts the prevailing balance of power subtly yet completely clearly, showing them that their shallow attempts at exerting control, skillfully manipulating others, and manufacturing constant chaos have no lasting hold over you. In consistently staying calm and composed, you effectively create a mirror that unflatteringly reflects their hidden shortcomings, their festering insecurities, and their repeated inability to genuinely dominate you. You feel no need to engage in futile fights or to offer any elaborate explanations. Your quiet peace effectively speaks volumes, and the distorted reflection it casts is a powerful truth from which they are fundamentally unable to escape. Ninth, you purposefully choose your meaningful legacy over the allure of fleeting drama. Every carefully considered decision you make, every purposeful action you take is a conscious deposit into the rewarding life you are intentionally building brick by brick, day by day. You wholeheartedly understand that your limited time, Your precious energy and your valuable focus are not infinite resources, and that carelessly squandering them on engaging in needless chaos or attempting to please people who innately thrive on creating conflict only serves to steal from the uniquely beautiful future you are actively creating for yourself. Frantically chasing after those who seek to manipulate you, consistently reacting to their often insidious machinations, or engaging in unnecessary conflict with them would have been an immediate expense, one that offers absolutely no return, no authentic personal growth, and no lasting value. Instead, consciously choosing inner peace empowers you to wholeheartedly invest your precious energy in the things that truly matter to you, in achieving the goals that are most important to you, and in nurturing relationships and engaging in experiences that consistently uplift you rather than leave you drained, depleted, and diminished. Prioritizing your carefully crafted legacy over the fleeting allure of empty drama fundamentally changes how you perceive the world around you. You consciously stop giving your precious attention to petty disputes, malicious gossip, or subtle manipulation, because you now clearly see how fleeting and ultimately insignificant those experiences are when compared to the rewarding life you are actively building. Each time you purposefully refuse to chase after them, each time you consciously step back rather than blindly engage with their drama, you further reinforce a healthy pattern of intentional living guided by a strong sense of purpose and unwavering resolve. Your actions are no longer simply reactionary. Instead, they are deeply purposeful and fully aligned with your highest self. You wholeheartedly understand that the people who innately thrive on manufacturing constant drama are often helplessly trapped in destructive cycles that have no real impact on their own personal growth, much less on yours. Actively engaging with them only serves to prolong the inevitable chaos and further fragments your life, leaving you scattered and disconnected from your true self. This healthy mindset also sends a clear signal to others, whether they are consciously aware of it or not. By resolutely refusing to participate in their conflict, you powerfully demonstrate that your undivided focus is on something far greater than temporary self-satisfaction, a superficial sense of fleeting control, or the shallow allure of external attention. So to wrap it all up, my dearest friends, remember that choosing inner peace isn't about being passive or running away. It's about recognizing your inherent worth, guarding your sacred energy, and understanding that true strength lies not in chasing shadows, but in building a radiant life fueled by self-respect and unwavering clarity. You are the masters of your own dominion. I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this. What resonates most with you? Have you had experiences where choosing inner peace dramatically shifted your dynamics? Drop a comment below. Let's start a conversation and support each other on this journey. And if this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing. That way you won't miss out on future explorations into living a more empowered and peaceful life. Until next time, be kind to yourselves and keep cultivating that beautiful inner sanctuary. 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 Sanctuary.